This episode, Gen Z is quiet. They are quitting higher education for trade schools. Well, Johnny and I are big proponents of people getting into the trades, so we saw this article and we thought we'd have a little conversation about this one. This is a good one, so stay tuned. Welcome to the Handyman Pros radio show. Home improvement and maintenance tips from the pros. Thanks for listening to another edition of the Handyman Pros radio show, where our goal is to help save you time, money, and aggravation on your home maintenance and repair. This edition's entitled Gen Z is Quiet. They are quitting higher education for trade schools. And to help me explain, I'm here with my ever cheerful co-host and old buddy, Johnny. Johnny, today is what, Johnny? We are recording this on November 5th, which is Election Day. So there's some interesting things here that we'll see what happens. You know, we'll see what happens. There's some things in this article.
We either gain or lose audience now.
That's exactly it. A big surprise. All right, before we get started, speaking of gaining or losing audiences, if you would, please like and subscribe to our channel. If you find it worthwhile, we would appreciate it. It helps the algorithms get our name out there so that people with interests that have interest in this kind of thing can take a look at it and come our way. So with that, Johnny, let's lay the groundwork. This was an article from where?
This was from a September article from Legal Insurrection, which is a website, and this was an article by Leslie Eastman. So all credit to her and her staff on this stuff. But what we found is that, and we've been talking about this for a while now, is that this article is really talking about the Gen Z is quietly quitting higher education. They're moving.
College,
they're starting to move away from college and going to trade school. And there's a lot of good points in here on why that is occurring. Not only because of some of the obvious things that but other things that I think they kind of put their finger on the pulse of today's atmosphere and environment. And I think the kids are just kind of getting sick of it.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, aren't we all?
So they do mention, let's just lay the groundwork. They do mention the financial incentives and also the time incentives, right? So meaning you can jump into a trade school for 2 years, and come out making really good money. They do mention all of the facts of things. We've gone over this, multiple times, but the so-called trades gap, as we've got it, there were some interesting statistics there. The average plumber out there is 44 years old, and that's average. And we know that that's a skewed bell curve, meaning that the most of the trades guys are basically our age, Johnny. They're in their 60s. And so, there's this, what's happening is in the country is there's a huge amount of retirements that are going on in all the trades across the way, from carpenters to HVAC guys to, blah, 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 plumber,
mechanics,
electricians, mechanics. Yeah. Everything. And so there's this huge job opportunity that's opened up. It's called the trades gap, and it's brought up by ourselves and several other people, including Mike Rose, really big on it. And we support all of the people that are talking about this at the time, but we need to get back to the trades because, gosh, guess what? You can't live without the trades. I don't care how good a computer programmer you are. If you can't turn the power on, nothing happens. So, if you can't flush your toilet and have the things that need to go downhill, you are out of luck.
Yep.
So she does start off. I just want to lay that groundwork. She starts off with all of that. This isn't a bunch of rhetoric just based on one or two things. It's actually based in reality and with some things. Couple of things that I just found interesting, and I'm just going to quote this. This is from Legal Insurrection, posted by Leslie Eastman on Monday, September 23rd, 2024. So that's the byline, folks. And again, we're just kind of doing this. But here's one of the quotes. A hyper-politicized academy does not bode well for students, faculty, or anyone interested in serious learning. For many students and for an increasing share of the general public, this has turned the educational experience from one of intellectual pursuit into pure activist sophistry. The only remaining question then is how long the public will continue to pay for a university system that no longer aligns with its values or educational priorities. And I find that to be an interesting comment in that this has been something that's been going on. College used to prepare you for more, I'm going to say more for life than it does today. And it prepared you with more things that were more, you know, like this is how your career should work and things like that. And we've kind of gotten away from that in our educational system today. We focus on things that are, how would you describe it, Johnny?
Woke.
I mean, yes, they are. These are cultural. That seems like colleges have come to this
Yeah.
cultural ideas where they want to teach you more about things that have little to do with your daily life and more your philosophy, if you want to call
Yeah.
it that.
Yeah.
Things like DEI and woke and
Critical
some of these.
thinking.
Well,
I mean,
do
there's
they
no,
teach critical thinking
no,
anymore?
they don't. That's what I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it
that
seems
that's
to
the
me that
problem. Nobody's thinking. I mean, that's where things start to go off the rails.
right.
And as I saw it, I mean, I'm kind of, to me, I've had both worlds of this. I've gone through trade school,
Right.
as a mechanic, and I've also gone to college.
Right.
So when I look back, I think one of the things in the trade school for aviation was, nobody in there cared about all the crap you hear on the college campuses.
Right. Right.
And that was the one thing, even back then, it was not as bad as it is today, but that experience in trade school was more like a
trade school is not the place for
kind of a military type
activism.
of time. It's kind of I was going to say it's kind of more of a military type of, sit down, shut up, do your work. Let's get through this. Here's what you're going to do. We're going to have some fun doing it. But we're all realists here. I mean, it was kind of that kind of thing. I don't know if I'm expressing myself well there, but when I got on campus, it was a little bit more of this, let's take a few steps back and
take the initiative of the day. When I was in college, the big thing was the apartheid system in South Africa, and while apartheid was horrible, these students in upstate New York really weren't going to affect apartheid in Africa, in my opinion, at all.
Yeah.
So it was a way to get in line and get a protest and build a little shanty town on the college campus and make some statement no one ever saw, by the way. And I just personally, I didn't buy into it. I was also in my senior year, and I was like, I'm out of here.
I think there's a when I look at this stuff, there's a difference in kind of the mind altering type of things that go on with the kids on campus versus in a trade.
Right.
There's a lot of the trades are, it has to be done this way. I think on campus, if you're not part of getting an education for legal,
or engineering,
engineering or medical, those kind of things, or in a STEM type of environment, right. They've created all these other majors.
Well, yeah,
and I'm majoring in,
things.
I'm not going to use any specific term, but I'm majoring in X, Y, and Z that I'm paying, $100,000 or $150,000 to get my education, which I can't make $10,000 when I get out.
We're gonna cite some statistics, and I'm not picking on any of these people, but social work, you can go get a master's in social work and you're going to make $50,000 to $60,000 a year, right? That's just, those are the numbers, and yes, folks, I know there'll be people out there that say I'm wrong and it's $80,000, whatever. You're going to make less than $100,000 versus going to like a Georgia Tech and going and getting your engineering degree, where you're going to start out the box at about at roughly between $100 and $150,000 a year with a, as they say, that they call it, folks, they call Georgia Tech the North Avenue Trade School. The old timers do anyway. But an engineering school will give you an actual life skill that you'll go out and actually make a lot of money with. And again, I'm not picking on social workers. We need social workers, and I get it. And it's not that. But sometimes I just wonder about the economic implications of going and getting an advanced degree in some things that aren't going to necessarily generate you any additional revenue on the backside. And there's all kinds of other things that we can talk about that we won't, because they are highly politically charged and this and that. And we just don't want to get into that necessarily. If you want to have a conversation offline, we can do that. But it's just really a question of this. The plumber, the electrical system doesn't care what your philosophy is. It needs to have power running through the wires, and if you do the wrong thing, it will kill you dead. Whether you're white, black, it doesn't matter, and so the paradigm is a very, very different paradigm in the trades, right? Nobody says, the electrician rarely, it's none of his business as to what the philosophy is, because he's got a job to do that has specific physical properties that have to be adhered to, or else people get hurt or things get destroyed. I mean, that's what it is.
I think there's
right?
I think the other point that they bring up in this article is, they cite that the confidence in colleges is falling.
Is falling. It is.
And I think we all feel that. Okay.
Right.
I mean, I think it's been exposed. As it's kind of funny. Okay. As the confidence level falls, the rate of getting that college degree goes up. I've never seen things go, getting rewarded for failing as much as
it's a bit of an inverse. Isn't it?
It's an inverse of reality. And there's a lot of reasons for that I'm not going to talk about, but but that's just the way it's going right now, unfortunately. And I think here's my
comment on that. And I'm just going to make this comment. It used to be back in the day, right? In our parents' generation, having a college degree, you were expected to earn approximately 4 to 5 times the amount of money that you would if you didn't get a college education.
That's where I'm going.
I don't believe that value add is there anymore.
Yeah.
I do not believe that a college education has the value that it had at one time. And the data is. You can look at the data, folks, and don't take anything we say here. You can look all this stuff up. We do not quote. This is not a bunch of quote misinformation. This is just the reality in the data. But a college education today it's not 4 to 5 times anymore. It's not that. And in fact, I would tell you that for the amount of money that you put into a trades education, your return on investment right now, the last time I checked, which was about 8 months ago, it was 8 to 10 times the investment you put in, meaning you put in $20,000 into a trades education, you're getting $100,000 plus out of it. Plus, that doesn't include the time factor, meaning because the trades education is generally, I'm going to be careful with that, but it's generally much, much quicker, meaning a 2-year trades program, you'll be working faster than you will in a 4-year college education situation. And as Johnny, we've talked about this all the time, getting a job, it's not how many applications are you going to put out, it's how many people are giving you offers before you even get to the door.
I was going to say that that's where I was going with this statement, is that the days of your parents and everybody is saying that you've got to go to college, I think are waning. I think that's starting to change. Now, I will say, it died hard for me because I came up through that environment, and when things happen slowly, you don't really know. You're kind of like the frog in the hot water, right? Right. But now I kind of see where this is all, has all headed. And I think and we'll get to the comments here because there's some very interesting comments and pretty honest comments at the bottom of this article from readers. And I think that's changing in business. And I will tell you that I've interviewed a lot of people when I was in business that came from some big schools, 4.0 from big schools, and no way, I wouldn't hire them. That was when I was interviewing them. I had to tell my boss, because I was part of the interview teams. I was like, nope. And they were very insistent on this. And I said, you should look somewhere else, because somebody out there is just going to want to, wants to show you how good they are.
The school so much isn't as, except at the very highest levels, isn't as important anymore. Honestly, having a degree from an Ivy League school is,
so for you guys out there that've got the Ivy League, degrees, good for you. The big part of that is, the alumni getting a hold of you.
It's it's
and
who
so, so you've got all that. But I will tell you that, for the rest of you folks out there that are wondering about which direction you younger folks to go, weigh both sides of this, because
particularly if you have any kind of slant towards the trade type opportunities. Are you mechanical? Do you like building things? Is it something
exactly?
If you're prone, do you have a personality for it?
If you're prone to that, and I'll give you my short take on that. If you do the old Ben Franklin, right? The pluses and minuses, and you're taking a look at this whole thing. Also add in there, go look at where some of these really successful tradespeople, where they're at. Now, when I say that, it's the people that have gone into the trades, they've busted their butt, they've made some good money, and then they went out and started their own company.
Yep.
And some of these people have more money than they know what to do with, to tell you the truth. And it's just there's all kinds of ways to make money in this country, and you don't have to start off burdening yourself with, a $200,000 basic mortgage before you even get started in life.
Oh, you're behind the eight ball straight away. If you run we're big on, I am big on running the numbers. And when I mean run the numbers, I mean, how much is it going to cost you? What, is it worth it? Is it this? Is it that? And then you throw in the time factor and all the other things that go along with it. Starting off with a mortgage payment straight away is not a great way to start. It's really not. Oh, by the way, the trades companies will apprentice you while you're going to school and actually pay you.
Yeah.
Sometimes, if you do it right, they will pay for you to go to trade school and get your ticket, right?
Have you seen some of the comments on the bottom of this? One is that, in the shipyards, they can't even get welders. If they could, the one comment was that the guy that works there, if they could get a 5-year-old to hold a torch, they'd pay him. They that's what it said. And so folks, if you're inclined to do stuff like that, welding is a major demand, and nobody knows how to do it.
Right. And it's not really that difficult. And it's just a question of just doing it, right, and learning how to do it. And you can learn it really in 2 years. You should be an excellent welder of all types too. You should be able to learn it. And once you add,
it's a little more difficult as you advance. However, you're right, but there's things like that, and I would say that go out and look at this. And just say to yourself also is that you might be getting a lot of pressure from people that say, well, if you're not an accountant, you're not this, you're not. The way I looked at it was, I'm going to go out after college. And this is what happened to me. I'll just tell you my story. And I got a job in the airlines, and I was making twice as much to start off with than anybody else that I knew that graduated with other degrees. Okay. Right. Now I had my degree, but I didn't start there. I stepped back and I went to, into the trade. So I did that. But then I got out and I used some of that knowledge that I had and advanced and gone into other things. What I'd say is that, again, look at some of the really successful companies that are out there, whether they be maintenance companies, HVAC companies, electrical
Doesn't
guys,
matter.
whatever. Some of the comments here are hey, my brother-in-law is an electrician that specializes in, and he's making, so such and such, and he's making 200 grand a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Larry, how we cited this the other time, was that we were reading a thing about the linemen.
Oh yeah.
Those guys that work for
linemen.
Pike and stuff like that. I mean, you see those guys on the side of the road, the linemen are making big money.
They make big money, and they do things like, this is one of the things. So my wife works for a company that does, they install, um, internet infrastructure in rural areas, right? Well, they also have a storm section right now. We're coming out of some of these hurricane seasons, and the money they make in a hurricane season, they get like double and triple.
Yeah.
This is just the employees get double and triple time, and their average workday is like 18 and a half
No
hours.
tax on overtime.
I mean, it's crap. Maybe we're lucky, but they work. They have these huge opportunities, and these guys make some money, dude.
Yeah,
I mean,
they do. And I will tell you that I was
and
the
worth
same.
Every penny of it, by the way. Worth every penny.
It was the same way with me. I was working double and triple overtime, when I wanted it, when it was offered. Whether it's, I used to work hurricane duty, in Miami, at the airport, hey, you want to stay over the weekend, and we'll pay you triple time. A bunch of us, hell yeah, we'll do. So when you're a young guy, right? But just to kind of close this out is, there was, I think this guy, this comment kind of encapsulated things, because one of my good friends in business was the vice president of HR at one of the companies, and I think this comment kind of encapsulated what a degree was all about versus what's happened. So I can read this, if I can, Larry.
Go ahead.
It says, I was an HR guy in a previous life and watched the devaluation of the college degree over a couple of decades. Any type of degree used to be an indicator of willingness to do work, an ability to learn assigned work, and generally speaking, an ability to do basic analysis, organization of information, and to report it in written form. You could expect even an English major or a history major to be a useful addition to your company after reasonable job-specific training. That was all true. However, here's the however. Pell Grants and government guaranteed loan generated a market opportunity for colleges to go after a broader market. Sadly, this necessitated adding courses for students who would not otherwise qualify for college. So, remedial courses were the first. Imagine a remedial high school level English or mathematics course in college. Later, of course, came the esoterica of women's studies, etc. In the end, a college degree became a zero value in assessing the abilities of a potential employee outside those in STEM.
Yes. It effectively,
that,
and that came from who's that came, did that come from, John?
That came from one of the readers of this article who left a comment.
Okay. Yep.
And when I read that, I was like, in that little bit, that verbiage there, that kind of does encapsulate the progression of things have, gone south.
Yeah. I mean, it's just some, to your point, it used to mean that they could write effectively, that they could communicate effectively, that they had the ability to use their words effectively. And today we have people that can't put sentences together.
That's what he's talking about.
Right. And they have a college degree, sometimes an advanced degree. Sometimes they're in extremely high, powerful positions, and you talk to them or you try to get the information communicated to you.
It's incredible. I know where you're going with this.
And it's like word salad.
Yeah, it's incredible. I completely agree. I completely agree.
that value of the college degree is just declined. Now, you go out and just conversely, you go out and you hire a licensed electrician who has a set of stated, very clearly stated, if you're going to be an electrician, you need to do this, this, and this. And if he has that license, your expectation will be that he should be able to do this, and this. It's
Yeah.
that simple. It's
Yeah.
very clear. Doesn't matter what his pronoun. I'm really quoting from the article here. Doesn't matter what his pronouns are. Doesn't matter whether he's white, black, green, orange. Does not matter.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
needs to be able to do this, and this. And it's that simple. The wire does not care. The plumbing pipe does not care.
Yeah.
It needs to
and
be
I will
done
tell you that none of
properly.
these, I tell you, so, and I'll just start to, we'll just close this out quick here. But I'll tell you that the guys that I was in aviation school with were some of the smartest guys I ever ran across, to tell you the truth.
Well, they
I
had to
mean,
be.
and they still are. I still communicate with some of them, and they're scattered all over the United States. But any of these trades, they're not done properly. They're not easy to get through. I mean, you have to have a
No.
level of IQ here to get through these things. And I will tell you that the guys that I was where I was with, and I can think of a couple of them that were far smarter than the guys I used to run up against in other walks of life, shall we say.
Well, that we work on a different level of experience, and just for example, of course, aviation people all work on Sigma 6 because one issue causes people's lives are literally on the line for aviation, right? You forget to tighten a bolt in an airplane wing or something, or any number of things. We've seen, look at all the crashes, folks. If a mechanic makes a mistake, they get investigated and they're held responsible for that. I mean, but even in the trades, it's just, there's still just that level of responsibility that's very different, and it is what it is. There's no variation. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter. And so it is what it is.
I mean, just the takeaway here is, take a look at both sides, which way you're going to go if you're in that position. You can make a ton of money in the trades. Own your own business. Sky's the limit.
You have
that only the people
that's viable.
And
what you have.
I mean, only the people that can dream about going to college and doing some of the other things. If you don't get if you get one of these worthless degrees, you're going to look over at somebody who's could be a multi-millionaire. Hey, remember, more millionaires drive F-150s than any other car. So, and
you know what else they have, John? A lot of them have time freedom, right?
Well,
so
there's a quality of life, Yeah,
it's a quality of life issue. When you're your own, even for us, right? We're our own independent contractors, right? And honestly, if we've got something going on, we go do it.
Right.
I mean, it's just like, I work my schedule. Oh, I've got a conflict for XYZ on whatever day, doctor's appointment, doesn't matter. I don't sweat it because I control it. It's a question of liberty and freedom, right? I have the liberty and freedom to do what I want, when I want to do it, and on my terms. And if I don't want to work for somebody, that's okay too, because I just don't want to. I don't like the job most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, you also have to be the kind of person that, and I've been on both sides of this,
Sure.
I've been on the side of, I was always working. In business, I was it was 7 o'clock in the morning till 10 at night, and then hoping you get to bed thinking about the rest of everything in the trades and what I was doing in aviation. Right, when I left work, that's it. I didn't have to think about anything else.
Didn't have to think about it because it's not right in front of you.
It didn't follow me home. So
it doesn't. No, it doesn't follow. Well. It follows me home only because I get on the project. Like I'm doing this, like I told you, I'm doing this shed project right now.
Well, that's
so
different.
I'm waking up in the middle of the night going, "Oh, I need to do this."
Yeah, well, that's different.
Like,
that's different. But that's on you. But from a company standpoint, you weren't, I was expected to get it done, and if that was sitting through these 3-hour meetings when I should have been doing something else, and hey. tough
It
donuts,
is what
man.
it is.
Start the 3 hours at about 9 o'clock at night now. So anyways,
It is what it is. So Johnny, let me ask you this question. Do you think the aliens have college degrees? Do you think so? Or did they go to trade school?
Oh, that's a good one.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Think about it. Because
you got to be pretty technical, though.
Hey, flying a spaceship is not that
you got to
simple.
be pretty technical.
It is what it is. All right. Folks, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, questions at handymanprosradioshow.com.
Those jokes could have wrote themselves right there, Larry, but I'll just leave it. I'll leave it. You folks.
All right. I don't know if I got
no Probe 101 schools here. So, okay.
Yeah.
So,
Johnny, take us home, baby. Take us home.
All right, folks. Well, there's a little bit of an open conversation for you. Take it for what it is on that. Anyway, stay safe, and we'll see you next week on the Handyman Pros Radio Show.